Well, it's going to very briefly become the next day. Yeah, we're almost there. I guess I'll just go to the theater. We're right there. I think there's a day 12 theater performance. I don't remember, actually. I'm not totally sure. But I think there's a day 12 theater performance. I might as well just be here and ready at the turn of the clock when it becomes midnight. And then so begins the tour where I visit every single character that in my party to figure out which ones are which of my bound are sick. Because they had to go and be dicks and enforce that. I feel like they might have realized that by now in their third playthrough, the player will understand that they don't have to worry about the health of their characters, because if they did every daily quest, then all their characters are fine. Their bound are all safe. So they're like, nuh-uh, they're sick anyway now. The other Clara did it. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks. So I was actually thinking, oh wow, I'm just gonna skip all of tomorrow, basically. I miss out on the whole... I miss out on getting the Haruspex and Bachelor to be happy with me because I don't cure their bound. But on the other hand, I don't pointlessly infect people with the Schmouder, and then I get to do Clara's ending, and so on. I might miss out on my opportunity to meet up with the kids, but honestly, I don't think the dialogue changes during the ending. When you meet with the powers that be, I think it's the same dialogue every time. It's a little hard to remember because I do a whole campaign in between, so it's really specific to try to remember that. But I felt like the dialogue was basically the same between, or at least I currently feel like in my memory that Haruspex and Bachelor had the same dialogue.
Your supporters to remain unharmed. A new mime performance is being rehearsed at the theater.
So much like how I didn't reread everyone's character bios during this playthrough for the third time, I also maybe don't care about repeating the repeating parts of the ending.
Whatever you do, you'll have to sacrifice something.
Destruction is inevitable. There's no miraculous way out.
So that's what their thought process is, see? There was nothing to hope for from the start. Each of them should simply fulfill their purpose. At least, we'll see which one works best.
Each of them wants to save that which is dear to them. Perhaps they could get along?
Out to the question. The meeting chamber is tight, with the general sitting at one side of the table and the Inquisitor sitting at the other. Only one of them will decide. The others will die.
And whoop. And so begins our final day. Today is the last day we have left. The choice has to be made. I am making the choice. My past will be solidified by this decision. If I proceed with the final miracle, it will define me as a wonder worker and a thief. If I give up, it will mean I was the embodiment of pestilence and the weapon of the law. But the powers that be, are they not a bunch of frightened children? Why else would they be so fascinated by miracles? I thought I was a puppet. Now it seems to be the other way around. Is this not a trap? Was this twist not foreseen by the makers, though? If the miracle is the way to overcome the inevitable, can a miracle be done at someone else's bidding? Is this not a trap? What shall I do? How shall I free myself? Shall I refuse to perform miracles even though I am able? Is this not a trap? The clock is ticking. The initiation reaches its extremity. Oopsie. Save. Click. Alright, so begins our final tour. Did this change again? Oh. The vein has the blood seeping up into the fetus up there. Really creepy. It's a really creepy image. Yeah. So I'm conveniently located. We can go to Lara, then Yulia, then the Sabarovs, then Anna, then Aspity, and Grief, Ruben. Oh yeah, I want to visit the bull. Can he be sick though? I don't think he can be sick. He doesn't even have his own room, so there's nowhere for an executor to give a cure to. So unfortunately I have to give the schmatters to these people if they're sick. Which means bad time. I'm not fond of the idea of poisoning the people that we're supposed to get the cure from, the blood of, but I guess the disease itself is also a form of poisoning of that too. So we'll see. Wait, why am I visiting? Well, she's not sick anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I was just thinking, like, why am I visiting her? She's not... I could talk to her, I guess, to see if she has, like, last day dialogue, but she's not the one I'm sacrificing.
Was it a month ago? I can't remember.
I bow to thee, mistress of the earth. What's in your mind, Lara? Oh, nothing really. Tell me, how much life-giving blood will you be able to make from me? How many doses will it be? No less than 150, I believe, and according to Ruben, anything up to 500. Oh, that's a lot. Even in a lifetime of relentless activity, I could never have saved or created that many people. Laura, why you too? How did you, of all people, end up among the wicked? Self-sacrifice is something one must go about competently. I was incompetent. That's just nonsense. Simon failed too. That's why you're making the decisions, not him. Or are you him now? Are you raving? No one is more similar than you and Simon. Even we, the bound, are mere playthings while you are humans. With a capital H. Such as I could never give birth to even if I had got married. Did you want to? Sort of. Not really. But I'd often think about it at night. No point hiding my sins anymore. But that was all a pipe dream. Go ahead, do what you must, poor thing. I'm so sorry for you. I wouldn't want to carry your burden. Terrifying to bear. Yet it would be wrong to refuse it. Please, that's no sin at all. You deserve solace.
My path was called the House of the Living. I used to be the kindest. I couldn't have known I was to meet my father's murderer.
Yeah, she's not one of my people. It's weird that they're talking based on the assumption I'm going to sacrifice her, which is weird because I never told her about the sacrifice in the first place. And she's also not one of the people I'm sacrificing. So it's just generally weird. I just want to check in on her. But yeah, I realized, like, oh, I wasn't sacrificing her, so if she's not sick, I should not cure her, because then she'll be fixed by all the panaceas I make soon. Nothing about the panacea would fix the schmouter. Like, no equivalent of antivirals or antibiotics will save you from destroying your liver because you took 1 billion aspirins or something. Like, that doesn't work.
There are unseen seen connections looking through the capricity and tenuity that the world seems to be made of.
I bow to thee, mistress of the earth. Do you have any parting words for me? You're an observer of people, so what do your calculations indicate? Wait. Give yourself a moment's pause. Are you sure you want to know what my research has yielded? You see, whether or not you take my calculations seriously, the moment you learn the results, you have no choice but to act them out. This is merely my way of seeing the matter, though. So, what do you say? Would you like to set off this tripwire of mine? I do. It won't do me any harm, in my humble opinion. You remain an indefinite value. As such, you have walked the road that lies behind you. Your refusal to be categorized was your strongest weapon. However, this advantage will be stripped from you as soon as you permutate into a constant. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens before the day is over. What kind of value will you become? That's the only actual choice you have. Wow. I have two choices. A bad pun, or you're worse than Grief. Jesus Christ. Grief's a murderer. Maybe a mass murderer. And crime lord, and so on. I'm not Constance, I'm Clara. No, this is Patrick. This is of no importance. Don't try to translate your perplexity into a language that is legible to us. Cease this wordplay of yours. Didn't you see everyone disappear? You won't see anything but raw vectors now, lines along which your effort may be applied. Well, really. Why did our paths cross, Yulia? Why are you one of the criminals and the wicked? I don't qualify as wicked, but you can call me a criminal, in a way. Just don't conflate the two. You see, I am of the opinion that it was your duty to end us. Didn't I just tell you? There are no people anymore. Symbols is all we have left. We all represent opportunities that you have missed. The 9 ways to get swallowed by the deathly quagmire. What? You should be grateful to me for having replaced you. Otherwise it would have been you, and not me, to rot in this desolate place I am consigned to. You would have been left hanging by your strings. You wanted to rule over fates too, I understand. Huh, so she's not sick either. She's just explicitly talking about how we're in a video game. She's not just talking about how we're restricted by fates and how we're restricted by the fact that we are playthings in a larger game, in universe, the children's game for the powers that be, but also she's referring to the fact that we are code in a video game. She might be this heavily understated example of somebody who knows that none of this is real. The obvious examples being Aglaya and the powers that be and so on, and Clara, I think Clara and Aspity? Was it Aspity? Clara does in some timelines or something. I lose track. But it seems that explicitly Yulia also knows that this is all fake. She refers to vectors and variables and constants, and she even refers to the fact that all the people in the town disappeared when today started. She refers to that explicitly, while also talking about like puppets hanging from strings, which the game also references in the final cutscene we saw at the theater just now, where it shows the tragedian hanging from strings, unable to move.
Only in things of small value, they usually are bold enough not to trust to appearances.
For as long as you're alive, sorry, I bow to the mistress of the earth. For as long as you're alive, you'll remain the mistress. It's I who bow to you. Heed my final advice, dear daughter. Be smart. Don't repeat my mistakes. You will not be alone here. Maria is ascending to the fullness of her powers right now, at the same time as you, whilst Capella, the tardy one, will take a few more years to awaken. Do you understand what this means? Maria will not awaken, and Capella? I don't think she will either. That's the end of that.
My path.
Not quite. What? A period of your antagonism with Maria is beginning. Along what lines will it be? Which of you will be the good one? Which one the wicked? Will it be up to the Canes once again to determine the meaning of good and evil? How are you to take the good path if Maria doesn't choose the evil one? Why can't we just both be good? Oh, that's what my character's about to ask. Why divide everything into good and evil right away? Could that have been your mistake? Our mistake? That was what I thought when I chose my own dark path. I thought the conflict was not between good and evil, that neither good nor evil existed. That wasn't true, for it is in the nature of humans to translate even a dichotomy of red and green into the language of good battling evil. We are doomed to make choices. But did you really choose evil? I now think I did. Nina could control it at the time, and I couldn't. Nor was Nina wearing the black tiara. But don't put your trust in what is more alluring, more attractive. That is usually where evil lies. And yet I'd still like to ask about my sister. Did she exist, or didn't she? Back then, a week ago? What kind of an answer would you like me to give? A truthful one. She didn't, daughter. We had you, and only you. You showed up many times and were different each time. Goodbye, Mother. One of the options is a mistress can never lie, but she lies constantly. She absolutely tells lies, especially since she just repeats whatever the rat prophet tells her. Well, at most that might indicate that it has to be something that she means, but meaning something doesn't say anything as it being true, so she's not exactly going... That's not necessarily a revelatory claim, then.
That's okay, I'll make it. I'm made of wood.
I bow to thee, Mistress of the Earth. I'm not yet sure I'll want to accept that title. A mistress is not a title. When you have crossed a certain line, you become the person everything hinges upon. How you will use this gift is a different matter, but you are no longer in a position to refuse it. So what disposition are you going to make of our town? Do you have any parting advice to give me? You are truly a saint. Or could my reason be so clouded with grief that I failed to hear the sarcasm in your voice? No, I wouldn't want to think so. Do you really want to hear a few behests from me? Yes. I'll do what you weren't able to do, Father. After all the adverse fortunes that marred your brief tenure as ruler were quite extraordinary. Then I will be concise. First, find someone among the Canes or the Ogimskis on whom you could rely as on yourself. Let them preside over the Bull project. Let them send reports to the capital. Metropolitan bureaucrats are the greatest menace. They doze off when the freight trains arrive on schedule, but wake up the moment something goes wrong. Why is that a threat for us? They will not let us build our life the way it was intended. The brittle magic of our community will be trampled underfoot. Our erstwhile blissful existence will be irrevocably gone. Everything will be completely different. New people will arrive. and the deadening power of the state will lay down its own law here. Do not let that happen, as we didn't let it happen before. Will I be able to do it? You'll do fine. You'll devote yourself to other things. You'll be spinning your yarn, while your chosen regent must be cunning. He must learn to mislead them, to mask our distinctiveness. He must not let them redevelop the northeast line any further east than Gorkon Estuary. He must be cautious. I understand, Father. You're tired. You need some rest now. No one's sick so far. And I'm running out of characters to have be sick. Let's go around here and visit Anna. We at least have final day dialogue, so I might as well visit the foreman regardless. And then I'll make a hard save just in case, but I'll probably skip ahead all the way to the time of the meeting at that point, if all my people are healthy. Because of the whole thing where, yes, you might get additional dialogue for it, but I feel like I'm just damaging people pointlessly if I give them the schmouters, if I'm about to make infinite panaceas.
Yeah.
I bow to thee, mistress of the earth. Look at me, Anna. You're afraid, aren't you? Look at me, Clara. Why did I chance to cross your path? What do you think? Could it be so that I could sing an ode to fear and give you a vivid example of what that leads to? Why are you talking like that all of a sudden? What's the matter with you? Or is someone hiding behind that curtain over there? I am an embodiment of fear. I live in a world that's made of fear entirely. I may not have become a singer, but I've become the voice of fear. And fear has an unpleasant voice, shrill, whiny, capricious, utterly unmusical. So if you're like that, why did our paths cross? Probably to prevent you from becoming like me. A voice, an entrancing voice, sweet as a dream and beckoning, is what you and I have in common. Do you understand? That's where we intersect. Not the caravan. Not at all. Forget the caravan. You, on the other hand, won't stop thinking about it. You're hiding something, Anna. You're still hiding something. What is this caravan? How did you get here? Ask the powers that be. You've paid them a visit already, haven't you? They'll tell you what the plague is for, what the caravan is for. It's their games. Fair enough. Fair enough. Which means it's not all that important in the end. So, is it going to hurt a lot when it's my turn? Would you like to be the first or the last? Last. Or not. I suppose it's better to get it over with at once. No, wait. I'll tell you later, alright? Better still, just sneak in unnoticed sometime, will you? Maybe it's better if we do it that way. Maybe. I'll come after you forget about this. If she is afraid of dying, but resigned to it. Hey, dead boy, how you doing? You're alive. You're alive on day 12. I saved you.
I have no heart.
Nice to see you too.
I'm a servant. I was broken by will.
I bow to you, mistress of the earth. And you, Formanoyan, why have you crossed my path? It's no coincidence, I know. I am a monster, mistress. A chimera. You were right when you called such human-like, double-natured beings demons. It is good that you'll destroy me with your magic hands. The evil I stand for will go down with me. It's unnatural to be double-natured. Your grandfather was a bull, wasn't he? True. You can see yourself that my bloodline must be terminated. Evil channels through me, as it does through your counterparts. Someone dark had been stirring behind their backs before you came along and took charge. Now that dark soul is no longer with them, and you ought to drive them out. Don't let them loose. Have no fear, I won't. Why is it a problem that your grandfather was a bull? He seems to have come out just fine, honestly. He just looks like a person. He's very large, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's evil and whatnot. The main takeaway there is that apparently their genes were compatible, which raises many questions, because that's not how species work, I gotta say. The whole point of a species is that it's an independent breeding or group of organisms. You stop being a species once you diverge enough that you can no longer breed with each other. That's like generally how it works, I believe, term-wise. I mean, I'm not a biologist by specialty or anything. So that raises questions about whether or not humans and bulls are entirely different species in the pathologic universe, if they could somehow become a bull. But then you have magic, so maybe it was a union that magically was fulfilled and forced into working together. But he's not even like a were-bull, is he? He doesn't transform into one. He just looks like a large human. I don't know. Now I'm thinking back to that trailer I saw of Pathologic with the giant bull, and I'm just curious about that now. Of where they're gonna go with that. Pathologic 2, I mean. It's just a memorable image, is that giant bull that I think was standing on the railroad. It's the kind of moment that if it was in any other game, I would think it was a dream sequence or a hallucination or something. Like, whoa, the protagonist character took drugs, crazy. Or like, it's a vision that has metaphorical resonance or something. But, Pathologic has the albino. And the worms, and a bunch of other surprise, odd visuals that just kind of find their way into the game. So I would not be surprised if the bull in Pathologic 2 shown in the trailer was just real. Or it might have just been a thing they threw into the trailer to just be eye-catching for a second without necessarily fully planning what they're going to do with it, because that was pretty early compared to the planned release date, which is not in existence yet. So who knows? All I know is that in Pathologic, you don't need dreams for metaphorical crazy things to happen, because the main game itself is the metaphor. The entire game isn't real, even in its own universe. So no need for crazy dreams. They're redundant when the world is this odd. Aspity.
He who distrusts himself is better off silent.
I bow to you, mistress of the earth. Well, sister, it's time to say our farewells. So it is. Can't say I'm not glad. Why? Everyone's glad to see me. What could possibly make me glad to see you? You're my most successful rival. You have become what I couldn't. I'm jealous of you. There's nothing to be jealous about, silly. I've gone from a saint to a priestess of blood, a miraculous meat grinder. Oh yes, I wanted it to be me. Me striding along the town in triumph. Me going from house to house, carrying death on my black wings. Me choosing who deserves retribution. An enviable role, that. But look at what I've become instead. A slave to the kin, a household familiar, a keeper of relics. It's not true. I'm not like that. I chose a different fate for myself. Come on. What's done is done. It's not like one could choose one's fate retroactively, or change that part of it which has already been fulfilled. One could. I can. That's what these things called miracles are about. That's the end of that. Well, farewell, Aspity. It's my last time seeing you. in 150-ish episodes, probably. I don't know the final count, obviously, but we're up there. Holy crap, we are up there. Goodbye, Aspity. Have a nice everything. I'll look forward to seeing you in the sequel, I guess. Okay, as far as I can tell, the game just lied. Or the other me lied to Block, I guess? Because, like, Block claimed the other me, which is just me, infected a bunch of you guys. None of you were infected, unless it's going to be Ruben, because Ruben's the only one left to check. There was no executors anywhere.
Yeah?
I bow to thee, mistress of the earth. Not out of fear, I hope. Out of love, little tot. Pure love. All white and crunchy like freshly scratched linen and all. Come on, think about it. Who do I got to go fearing? No one. For as you've most correctly guessed, I ain't feared barley too. And the fear, you ask? Just for show. Although I do fear myself, I suppose. Have you really changed so much? Then for this alone, these 12 days have been worth living. Back then, you see, you figured out the sheer scale of my nastiness. Just how much a villain I was, didn't you? And then you just froze in place, and my heart sank, and I thought, so much for ever being forgiven. That's a little tot ain't gonna condemn me, but you didn't. You forgave me, and I was never the same again. I'd be happy to give my life for you now. I swear to God, my own accord. Happy? Honestly? You won't find a more faithful servant from now on, no ma'am. For I have repented. All my cutthroats would die for you too. Was it your command, mistress? My life for you. Me, becoming like Simon. Could I even have imagined? But even the old man could never become someone like you. Repent. Repent. You've all still got time to see if your new settlement is sincere. If your new sentiment is sincere. Yeah, none of them are sick. I don't know what's up with the claim that they were going to be sick. That's really odd. Alright, Ruben, you get to live. It seems like all the ones that I chose to sacrifice, I'll say I bow to the mistress. Because Lara didn't.
If there's enough people like me, the town will stay the same. We'll surrender ourselves to Clara unregretted. A rotten life belongs to the new mistress.
Or maybe they all did say that, I don't remember. I bow to thee, mistress of the earth. Tell me, what's it going to be like when, you know, the time comes? Do you want exact details? I'm going to have to settle down here, aren't I? Block is inviting you to come along. He'd like you to take you away from with his armory, right? Let's get straight to the point. How many years will one person last us? Well then, this is how I see it. We will be vigilant at all times. As soon as there is a new outbreak somewhere, we will board up that house at once, or that district if need be. Thankfully it can be done, given the peculiar town planning here. My master did that 5 years ago. You will immediately pick someone from among your bound and... What if they refuse to become a donor? They won't. Once they've given consent, they'll stay true to their word, or else our being bound would amount to nothing. So, you think all I have to do is just lay my hands on them once, and it will be done? I don't think once will be enough. And you'll have to do it in public to avoid rumors and speculations. At any rate, I'll make the extracts and see what happens. We'll try this and that. Alright, Stack? I've understood your plan. You're going to have to be the last in the chain. Yeah, none of them are sick. I don't know. None of them are sick. Nothing seems to be wrong. But in addition to that, there's also the confusion of the fact that all of them claim that they're going to be sacrificed, including Lara and Ruben, the two people I said I wasn't going to sacrifice. And like it's just odd. Like they let you exclude two people, but they actually don't seem to acknowledge in their dialogue at all that two of them are being excluded. It's like you're just going to sacrifice them all evenly anyway. Not sure what to make of that.